German Chancellor Angela Merkel says protectionism is not the answer to the world's economic challenges.
Germany wants to be a country that can make its contribution to solving the problems of the future together. We believe that isolating does not lead to anything. We believe that it is better to cooperate, and protectionism is not a solution.
In an apparent reference to U.S. President Donald Trump, Merkel said world nations will not have a bright future by shutting themselves off. Merkel made the remarks while addressing the World Economic Forum in the Swiss town of Davos. This comes as Trump's America First trade policies have raised concerns among advocates of globalization. The German Chancellor also warned about right-wing populism in Europe, calling it a poison driven by unresolved problems. Joining us live now from Brisbane is Mr. Max Igan, who is a radio talk show host and political commentator. Mr. Igan, thanks for joining us. What do you make of Merkel's comments? Do you think Trump is being too protectionist in his policies?
Look, I don't really think this is protectionism. I don't really agree with a lot of Donald Trump's policies, but this is one thing that I do agree on. I think countries should be able to maintain their autonomy. You know, globalization is not about free trade. Globalization is about creating industrial interdependence in nations so that no nation is able to function without any other nation, which draws them all into a global economic system. This is one of the very reasons that they are so angry with Iran for its actions, because of Iran's ability to be able to virtually maintain its autonomy. Iran can function reasonably well on its own without being dependent upon other countries. This is what globalization is all about. And with Trump's America First policy, I mean, it's been misconstrued by many people. As I said, I don't agree with a lot of his policies. This is one thing I do agree on. I think all countries should be able to maintain their autonomy. You know, Angela Merkel has virtually destroyed Germany by creating so much interdependence, by bringing all the migrants in. She's done a terrible job with that country. And they just wish to maintain that global economic system, which is ultimately all about control and a central control system and a central government. So I think it's a good thing, and I think people really need to look at the things that Angela Merkel's saying and read between the lines of what she's saying, because I think globalization is really about totalitarianism more than anything else.
Okay, so obviously, Mr. Igan, Angela Merkel, at least publicly, is concerned about the economic success and getting over the economic challenges that each country around the world has. How does one go about doing that then, if not through globalization?
Well, I would say by removing themselves from the EU would be a good start for the European countries to begin with. People need to be able to look after themselves in any sort of given crisis. Any country needs to be able to look after themselves. They just want to put us in a situation of interdependence, not a situation where we are able to thrive at all, but a situation where each country is able to be marginalised. You know, people have to understand, perhaps, you know, globalisation could work if we had a responsible people in governments in our countries, but we've got to understand the people that are in control of all of these governments, all of these Western governments, are the very people who have manoeuvred us into this situation so they can present their remedy to us, which is simply more centralised control. So, you know, until the world is willing to admit the fact that we have a criminal class that has taken control of all of our governments, that have contrived this entire situation, and that every problem we face in the world today can be laid squarely in the hands of government for the horrendous mismanagement, and I believe planned mismanagement and deliberate mismanagement of this world, then we're never going to get anywhere. We can't depend on these people to lead us to their solution. The solution needs to come from the hearts of the people, and we need to start supporting each other and supporting each country in their own autonomy. Countries should be able to remain autonomous and should be able to maintain control of their own culture and maintain of their identity, their own cultural identity. Each country has their own identity, and globalization is about removing that. You know, the problem is we base everything on an economic model, and economics should not be what rules this world.
Very well, Mr. Igan, we'll leave there at that. But of course, as always, we appreciate you taking your time out to speak to us here at Press TV.